The following podcast is a mass media production.
Hi, I'm Josh Galindo.
And I'm Krystal Galindo. Welcome to the Going Galindo Rugrats and Renovations podcast.
A lifestyle podcast where we will offer our experience and expertise in building real, lasting wealth through renovating and flipping homes.
And the chaos that comes with balancing a family of 6, leaving nothing unsaid.
Follow our wild ride we call life and apply our lessons to your own journey. Good morning, honey.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
How was your gym sesh?
It was incredibly boring.
I wasn't there.
I was telling we did a back-to-back podcast today.
Yes.
And I was telling our previous guest that I hadn't eaten any meat for 4 months. Mm-hmm. And then I tested out a hamburger on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I think I went into the gym with like hamburger strength and vegetarian muscles.
Yes.
And was a beast in the gym. But then
like, I'm back to meat.
But then I think I hurt myself. Like my chest was on fire yesterday. Like I couldn't even move my arms. I could barely drive. I had to turn like this. But we were able to get control of the pain with 2 Tylenol, 5 ibuprofens, and then ibuprofen 800.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe my body can handle all that.
Yeah.
Quite impressive.
A little dangerous.
And your morning was okay with the kids?
Yes.
All right. High five sesh went down?
High five sesh.
Good
out
job.
the door.
That's a good mom. Your alarm went off a few times this morning.
I know. I thought you were awake. I'm sorry.
The one time I'm sleeping. Krystal set her alarm for she has to get up at 7, so she'll set it at 6.
No,
set it at 6.
Babe, I'm supposed to get up at 6.
Whatever. I'm just giving the analogy.
Okay.
And then every 5 minutes it'll go off for an hour.
Every 9 minutes until 7.
Hey guys, we're going to pause this episode really quick so that we can hear from our sponsors.
All right, guys, I know you've all heard of Moon Valley Nurseries. Well, now is the best time to plant everything, and Moon Valley Nurseries has everything to plant. Right now, you can get 50% off plus free planting. Moon Valley Nurseries is the largest box tree grower in America, and they've brought in millions of dollars of inventory just for this event. From their farms to your yard, nobody does it better. So stop in now for the biggest and best selection. For the best trees on earth, go straight to the moon. Head to moonvalleynurseries.com to learn more.
Adulting is hard. You know what shouldn't be hard? Buying a house. Robert Coomer is a stand-up guy that does what he says he's going to do. He's helped us and our friends buy and refinance houses for the past 15 years or so. Every time we know we're getting the best service possible and the person on the other end of that phone call has a smile on their face. And that leaves a smile on ours. So call Robert Coomer. He does all the heavy lifting for you so you can worry about the more important things, like what kind of wine pairs well with leftover pizza. Seriously, give him and his team a call at 702-850-2000. You won't regret it. All right. Anyway, so we have a very special guest.
Yes.
I'm actually really excited. I would say I'm probably most excited about this podcast. I've done a lot of fun podcasts, but I'm really excited about this one. So Troy Kearns is here with us today, and his lovely wife, Eden Kearns. Okay. I was like, shit, I should ask that first.
Like hyphenated, is it?
Yeah, you never know. So Troy and Eden Kearns. So what's awesome is that, we very similar to us.
Yeah, we have a similar dynamic.
We have a similar dynamic. Yeah. So please say hello. And
Hello.
There he is.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Troy does the same thing with his alarm.
Does he? No way.
For 2 hours.
Oh my gosh. Don't you think there's more value in just a peaceful sleep and waking up the first time it goes off?
No. I need to be prepared.
I've been doing this for a long time. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I'm not really looking at the value proposition of my alarm clock. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to wake up, and I'm trying to figure out a way to do it the best way for me. And if it wakes her up, maybe she'll hit me or something, and then I'll get the whole mission accomplished.
So Eden, do you wake up on the first sound of it?
I'm a coffee lady, and I'm like there's coffee downstairs. I'm getting up. I'm going. I'm going to get that coffee. So I just kind of wake up whenever his.
So when it wakes up, you're out of bed, drinking coffee, and starting your day.
Moving.
Yeah, that's me.
Like buzzing around.
Yeah.
I think maybe if I had a coffee waiting for me, I would get up. So, you could make me coffee in the morning before you go to the gym.
That's what I do every day, Josh.
Yeah, right.
And there's like a trail of creamer all on the floor. And like I know every move he's made. I'm like,
He's been throughout the kitchen.
The sugar package ripped open.
all
There's
over the
sugar
place.
everywhere.
My favorite is the banana that Josh leaves, like the peel on the counter, right where the garbage is. So you just have to open it to put it in the garbage, but it just sits there on the counter.
Troy, I think we're just gonna get our asses kicked this whole show.
You know what? At least I'm not the only one now.
I know.
Now there's like actually credibility that there's another guy that doesn't have to. She front faces the dressings in the fridge, so everything.
Oh my gosh.
look at your licenses.
She can see that I have OCD too.
I know. You're with me on that.
Absolutely. Do you have any OCD, Troy? In different ways? People have it in different ways.
Yeah, I would say when I focus on something, I'm obsessed, but it's not about my clothes or my car or anything that has to look like I showed up here with, an M&M stain on my shirt. So obviously the mirror is not the first thing I check in the morning,
His bank account was.
That's an obsession. For sure.
Is that a serious statement?
Yes.
I have Krystal who handles all of the money, and then she has someone that works for her named Nick. So those two handle the money, the day-to-day check cutting and all that stuff and deposits and all that. And I still go on and I'll scroll through and I'll be like, what was this one for? What was this one for? What was this one for? I pay super close attention to it. And I've done that there was a time, obviously things are moving too fast today, and I'm sure for you as well. But I bet there was a time when you could recite at any time during the day what was in the bank account.
Absolutely.
Within a few $100 or $1,000 or something.
I could actually cite without having to look at it what I spent on a flip, just from me knowing, like within a couple $1,000s.
I think you could do that.
I could do that. Maybe not today because, different people are on a flip. I'll put it this way: on a flip that I was totally involved in, Troy, 100%.
Yeah.
That was actually a bragging right of mine. If you had 30 homes on the board, and then someone working for me wouldn't remember what kind of flooring, I was like, bro, I remember every chandelier I'm putting in every one of these homes.
Same way, right here. Yeah, I can remember how they're laid out, the floor plans, everything.
Do you think that that's visual? Do you have a visual memory?
I have both. I have visual and audio for like certain things, like Audible.
Shit,
I learn a lot from reading books and listening, but I learn a lot when it's that type of thing. I got to do it. But if I'm going to listen to somebody in a book, like I lose my train of thought on a book, but I can listen to an Audible for like 10 hours. She'll tell you that. That's another one of my joyous things that I like to leave the Audible running on while she's got her murder shows playing.
It's amazing.
This is perfect.
Marriage.
Hers is Real Housewives of every county in the United States.
We've already passed those. We're on to murder.
Is that where my future is headed?
Yeah.
I used to listen to those all the time, and then I was really paranoid, so I had to stop.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, there's some wicked shit, man. Those are frightening.
We have this joke. I'm like, because a lot of it, it's like the spouse killing the
Of
other
course.
spouse.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Right.
if you're going to do it, you've got a tremendous amount of knowledge now. I just, shut off your phone and make sure that you're not around where I'm at and the body can't be found. That's your one, I guess, last thank you to me is just get it right, don't get caught.
Right. Someone's got to watch the kids.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, just make sure you're still around.
Yeah.
That would be terrible. Yeah, she kills you and then goes to jail.
No,
Yeah.
we have a pact. Just if you're going to do it, don't get caught. That's it.
Baby, should we maybe?
That's
No,
why you're
it's
not allowed to have a
declared.
gun. I'm like, no, he's going to get really mad. And
Nah. These
so I
women
don't
are-
watch those anymore.
These
Thank
women
you.
are way too valuable in our lives for many other reasons outside of just being our wives. At least mine is, and I suspect yours is as well.
Very much so. I feel like the minute I got married and got hooked up with Eden, everything took off.
Yeah.
You know?
Man, I think there's going to be a lot of similarities through this.
Yeah.
There's two things that I think as a man, and this may be a little inappropriate, but we'll just go there. As a man, if you're fed and if you're not chasing food or security at home or sex, we'll just generalize it with sex, then you're like the most focused version of yourself.
100%.
You know, because the single life, you know, you're assuming you're interested in sex. If you're chasing that all the time, you know, it's distracting. It's costly. It's distracting.
Yes.
It's just you're out all night. You're not up early. Your brain's fogged. Yeah, no, I'm a big proponent that if someone says they want to be super successful in their life, I'm like, get married. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. What did they say? Who was that said it, behind every good man's a better woman?
Sure. I don't know, but I've heard the saying.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Troy Kearns.
I love it. This is fun. So you said, I found it interesting. So I have a visual memory. So like if I were to recap this conversation in a few weeks, I'd first start with envisioning the space, seeing where everybody was sitting, what I was playing with, touching, moving, looking at, whatever it was, and then I can recite all of the conversation or the content of the meeting. So mine's visual first, and then it kind of brings all the rest together.
Yeah, I mean, like, I could tell you, like, remember that house we looked at in 1900 Westland?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
I could walk.
Yeah, me too. I could walk you through where the little extra basement is in the upstairs attic area, or not the basement, the attic.
Yeah, I remember.
And then just everything about that property. Just
It had a galley kitchen too, right?
It was towards the pool. Yeah, it did have a galley
It was
kitchen.
towards the back.
Yep, absolutely.
Was the color blue?
No, it wasn't.
No. The covered patio paint.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a trick.
I know. I was like,
was a
he's
test.
testing you. He's
Yeah.
testing.
You walked in. There's a room to the left. Am I wrong? I mean, you were there much more. I was there one time.
I think I was there twice. Yeah, there was a room to the left. There was a kitchen in the middle.
Were the staircase in the middle too?
Yes.
Yeah. That was yeah.
And you remember what we projected that price to be? $585
Really?
or
That high?
$485, something like that.
Okay.
I just passed by it. It sold for that exact price.
Did it?
Yeah.
That was years ago.
Right.
Were we pushing the data a little bit?
I don't know. It was just it's just crazy market right now.
Yeah.
You know that.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
How much more money are you making right now because how crazy it is?
You know, I reference the profits on each of my deal in the format of a unit. So whatever the value is of each unit is what it is. We are averaging like 1.75 per house. And if we stopped buying today, I think we would have like 64 homes. So blending everything, we're getting like 1.6% more. 0.6 more. We're getting 60% more of every single home than what we thought we were going to get.
Okay. So you're getting 60% more profit than what you originally projected.
Yes.
There you go. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what
Knowing
she's
your
here.
numbers.
Yeah, I'm like,
You should go on Shark Tank. Woo. Good job.
So, all right, let's go here. So, introduction to Troy and how.
I want
go
to
ahead,
know how
sweetie.
you guys met. Why don't you start there?
How did I meet Troy? I think we should probably tell each other's story because I don't know if they even are the same. But how did I meet Troy? I don't know if.
Was it at that
I think
house
it goes
on Campbell?
further. No, I think it goes further back than just meeting him. I've heard of Troy. You know, and I'm sure. I don't know. So there was a time when I was just a realtor. You know, selling 6, 5, 7 homes a year and thinking I made it. And I didn't think I made it, but I thought I was, making
okay.
it. Yeah. And there was a lot of players in the game that were light years ahead of me. And I remember seeing your name a lot and on a lot of stuff. And I always was attracted to that on just seeing the consistent names and that visual memory would always kick in. I could just see the name and never forget it. So I think first to start off with just seeing him in the marketplace a lot.
Yeah.
So for me,
You knew of
that
him.
was my introduction to Troy. That's why I think I worded it that
Yeah.
way. For me, that was my introduction. And then, and it was Campbell. Good job, honey.
I knew it.
I can tell you the Campbell's floor plan right now. You walk in, you go to the left, there's a sitting room. You go past, there's a kitchen on the left. On the right, you slabbed the fireplace. You did Carrera marble in the upstairs master. Yeah.
Nice.
You just looked at that before we came in. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I used all original cabinets too.
Did you?
To my dismay.
I bet.
You got to pick your battles.
Right.
Oh my God.
So then I'm glad you actually brought that up. So that is actually where I think I formally met Troy. So I remember you were offering an open house.
Yeah.
I showed up, and I just remember talking to you on the balcony, actually overlooking the pool. See how I did that? And you explained how you were able to pull off that deal, which I didn't realize there was deals that had that level of hair on them that required an intelligent, tenacious human being to overcome all that stuff. Like, that's how green I was. And I was like, holy shit, bro. Like, you went through a lot to get that house. And then you ended up obviously crushing it. But so that's where I'm just going to simplify it and leave it there. I won't go too long. That's where I physically believe I met Troy. And correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's actually right. I actually forgot about that. And then and then when you brought me back, I'm like, yeah, when you showed up, I was like, oh, cool. Like, this is a guy who flips, and like, I feel like your products are awesome, as I've always told you. And it's like, I'm the guy looking to do it for the cheapest, and I see this guy putting a ton of flair on stuff. So yeah, I remember spending a good deal of time with you at that house. And then I think we went and had lunch at Sammy's after that.
Yeah, the what I love, I remember meeting, so I walked in, it's a funny thing, Troy goes, he goes, so, because I think I came out of nowhere, probably in the eyes of the market, I came out of nowhere, because I was flipping with Chris, doing 18 to 20 homes a year. He was a real...
And he was boring, so you
he was
couldn't do
boring,
anything fun.
He was the investor, he was very hands-on, he wouldn't allow me to go the extra mile on anything. And that's fine. I'm thankful for the relationship and the experience that I got from that angle. But then when I jumped to my new the PT brothers, Tom and Phil, they weren't as controlling over how the flip took shape, and so I had free reign on what I wanted to do. Anyway, so it went from like $1.5 million a year, all cash. With my previous investor to $8 million. So I'm sure for the market they would see me doing 18 homes. To my first year, I did like 80. Wow. And so I remember when I walked in, Troy goes kind of one of his fucking great moves, like Josh Galindo or something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, he knows me. I was like all excited. And,
so was he, by the way.
Absolutely, yeah. I was admiring you from afar. I remember actually a guy that, and you're going to remember this house as well. I opened a towing business, and my partner, you actually had flipped and sold their house in Desert Shores. And the gal was like, "There's this really good-looking guy, and he's so handsome." I'm not kidding you. And this
are they like Albanian?
Don't hold it back, Troy.
They're Israeli, but
she was a timeshare salesperson.
Yes.
Illinois.
Yes. Yeah. She was cute too.
That was a little bit different laugh, Krystal. She's like,
I was trying to remember. I'm like, I feel like I remember that name, but
I'm sure you met them.
No, but I was telling that right in front of. She's like right in front of her husband. She's like, yeah, the guy who sold this property, he was super cute, and he doesn't know what he's doing. And I was like, yeah, it looks great in here. We spent a lot of time in that house.
And that house was amazing, and it was beautiful when we went and visited them. And then you told me that. But even rewind to the open house that you guys came to. So I remember he spent a whole bunch of time with this like threesome, and we were like serving sandwiches and doing everything else. I'm like, he's just with those guys. And then after you left, he was like, "That's Josh Galindo." I'm like, "Thank you for introducing me."
After he left.
True Troy fashion. But yeah, he was really, really, really excited. Same thing.
That's cool.
Like a mutual respect from from early on. It's been for you guys.
Yeah.
No, that I 100% agree, and I think that's as a man, I would argue an alpha male. I have no problem vocalizing to other men how great they are. I'm not that guy. Like, I don't give a shit. If your results are incredible, then why not vocalize it?
Game recognizes game, right? Like, I saw your product out there. You guys were doing I think it was the IKEA.
Yeah.
The guy.
The IKEA guy.
The wooden guy.
You guys have blazed a trail bigger than you know, and I was not the first person watching. And since you guys were doing a lot more flips, and it was just like I feel like when you guys came on the flip scene, like you elevated everybody else, including myself. Like it was like, how many waterfalls is this guy gonna do on granite, man? This guy, I mean, you know, I know I always poke fun at you about that.
Dude, that's so funny. No, that was great. You are full of personality, Troy. That's awesome. This is why when I go to lunch, I come back so fucking pumped. I'm like, it was a great meeting.
He did the same thing. That night. We talked about Josh Galindo for dinner. Yes.
So I want to keep going because I want to make sure I give appropriate credit to Troy. So Troy is successful in the game, and I watched him. I watched him from afar as a pup. And then as I met with him, I just asked. I said, how did you become successful? How did you get where you're at? With rentals. And actually, I think Troy may have actually triggered this whole rental thing, because where did the rental game come from?
Yeah, you had a couple, but you were not trying to go any.
No, but I remember hearing his number, and again, another expansion of my comfort zone. I was shocked by it. I'm like, holy shit, there's people out there that own this many homes. Like 5 homes was big to me. 3 homes was like, I'm doing it right. And I think we sat down and you said something like you owned 40 homes. I don't remember.
I think it was like 50 or something.
Yeah,
in Mississippi.
I was like shocked by it. No, these were here at the time.
Were
Yes,
they?
correct.
Okay.
You were one of the few guys that was willing to take on these super inexpensive REOs. Is that pretty accurate to say?
I took everything.
Is that what it was? Maybe a better statement, you just took it all?
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw a lot of guys that were going like, oh, Bank of America is my only client. I'm loyal to them. And then they would ditch them, and the guy has no clients. And I'm like, I'm getting all of them.
Okay.
Like, that was my attitude, is like, if there's 100, I'm going to get 100. And I wanted to just beat everybody. And that's kind of, my focus.
How many REOs would you sell in a year at your peak?
My best year was 643.
How did you process that many?
Well, it's funny. Rest in peace to Andy Chu. I don't know if you remember this guy.
I don't think so.
So I first started, and I got my first REO account. I knew not what to do. I was like getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going and taking my pictures, doing my BPOs till up 10 o'clock, and then driving back across town. And so I'm doing that. I'm totally behind. I'm not doing a good job for my clients or anything like that. But I had gotten an REO account, and 2 of them, I think I had Wells Fargo and Countrywide at that point in time.
Oh, my.
So my buddy Brian Harris at the time sits and looks at me. He goes, there's this other guy who seems really relaxed. He's not working all this time, and, you should talk to him. So I took him out to lunch, and he's like, are you going and driving your houses? I'm like, yeah, every single one of them. He's like, are you driving them every week? I'm like, no, I don't have time. And he's like, well, that's a $10 an hour job.
Sure.
So you're doing a $10 an hour job. He's like, are you doing your BPOs by yourself? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, I pay my people $8 an hour. That's an $8 an hour job. So that's when it dawned on me that to scale and do a good job, because that's the important thing. Like, I was not doing the best job for my clients because I couldn't. I was one person.
Sure.
And so that's what really revved me up. And once I was able to scale and get people to do the BPOs and get people to drive the houses, then I could fully focus on more clients. And I just started going to Denver, started going to Dallas, started going to DC. Wherever I needed to go, I went.
To target, to focus on Vegas? Or you were selling homes in those states, or you were just going to meet the people?
Yeah. So the asset management companies typically were set up at that point in time in like California, like Newport Beach area, or in Colorado, or in Dallas, Texas, and in Philadelphia. So I would make that circuit, and I would find out the best way is, selling people's belly to belly. So I'd go out there and meet them, and most of the other guys weren't.
How the hell, I can't even describe how desirable it was from the outside to watch these guys have these REO accounts. I mean, they were gods at that time, like gods. And so everybody wanted to have an REO account. And so I never understood how to get it. And so back to you, you would literally drive to where the address was on a piece of paper, knock on the door and go, I'm sitting here waiting until the next asset manager walks out?
Yeah, there's actually a famous name that's pretty funny. There's a guy, Ivan Choi. He was like the Countrywide. Like, anytime you went to an REO event, he was like oh, Ivan Choice here. You know what I mean?
Okay, okay.
And I remember one time, me and my buddy John Schlombush, my business partner, I was trying to help him get set up. So I'm like, all right, you really want to do this? Prove it. And so we went into Ivan Choi's office, and he literally broke in and knocked on his door, like in a secured countrywide building in downtown Los Angeles or something like that. So that's what we did, is we would go and identify how REO works is you're going to have an asset manager. And usually that asset manager is going to work like on the state of Nevada, right?
Sure.
And so we would try to find out who is controlling the state of Nevada and where they're at. And then we'd go to a lot of conferences. And what I picked up at the conferences is that, you know, a lot of people would just sit around and talk to other realtors, and I would just pay attention to body language. And if everybody's looking at one guy, he's the important person in the room.
That's right.
Right. If there's 4 people looking and one guy talking, the guy talking is the important person in the room. So I would figure out what he was about. And it was just like prior to dating, you know, I always felt like, you know, in order to date people, it was all about the approach.
Sure.
If you're gonna get knocked down, you better at least try before you knock down yourself in your head.
Yeah. You know, I was communicating the last podcast. What I love is what you just said right there. Is instead of getting on here and I just keep using the TikTok or the Instagram platforms as an example to create perspective, instead of get on here and going, when you wake up in the morning and they got the music going, you know, you got to work hard. Wake up at 5 a.m. and you got to work hard. There's no simple, you know, all this cliche shit. What I like to do is I like to communicate to the people that are listening on a roadmap, a visual, a small thing, because what I believe is happening is when they see that clip, it's artificial motivation. The music gets you hyped and hot and heavy and rolling, and then you swipe out and you're like, you know, and then you go back and it's like, oh, that felt good. But nobody gave you a nugget or a tool on how to go and accomplish that. That verbiage and that level of vibration is awesome if you're there and you're vibrating. But there's people that aren't. And so to get them to that level, they've got to be given steps. And what you just said right there is where the value that I get from having these podcasts is you just showed somebody how to identify the big guy in the room.
Right.
Instead of getting on here and talking about with motivation and big sounding music and all that shit, it's like, no, you gave a real life scenario on how to identify the big guy in the room.
For sure.
And that to me is more valuable than the other,
100%
you know, the other hype.
Yeah.
Can we go back to, didn't you sit down with a local agent here who had the REO accounts?
You mentioned a Chew or something.
No, prior to that.
Oh, okay.
No, I just went on his website and found out who he was getting the assets from.
What about Dan Humston?
No, I didn't even met that guy. Never
I remember
in person.
that name.
Yeah. So there was like 3 really big guys at that point in time. Jim Hastings.
Yeah.
Oh, that's who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I just went on all their websites, and
That's
at
what
that
he
point
did.
in time, they would put like who their clients were. And I'm like, great, thank you. And no offense, Bobby Tran, but I was talking to Bobby Tran one time, who used to be a big REO agent, and I remember him telling me, just shooting the shop, and he'd be like, dude, I'm getting lit up by Litton Loan Servicing. I'm like, really? You know, I'm like, I'm going to write this down right now. I mean,
That's right.
I am your competition, and
Right.
if you tell your competition, I'm going to compete.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
you know, I'm a competitor. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I got respect for people like yourselves, and I would, like, if we were on something, I remember me and Jason Abrams, if you know him, were on a deal together.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, how much to make you go away? And he's like, 10 grand. I'm like, peace. Then I end up losing $8,000 in the property. I'm like, you did much better than me.
That's good. I remember those
that's
days.
funny.
We used to do that at the auction down at the court steps. I'd be like, how much? He's like, 4. I was like, 4,000? Like, come on, man. And then one house is for our personal home. It was
Yeah.
against Tom and Phil's bid, or Rulon. You remember Rulon?
I wasn't a big auction guy.
Okay. I was like, dude, I have to have this house. This is for me and my family. I mean it. And, you know, that was like my 5th scenario where I needed it for my family. But this one was like sincere. And he's like, $2,500 and I want the desk inside. And I'm like, motherfucker, dude.
It was like a built-in desk. Like,
So I think what he did is so I learned a lesson there is I think he overshot to make sure that he got what he really wanted. So when I bought it and walked inside, I called him, do you want this desk? He's like, that was after I gave him the $2,500. He's like, no, I just wanted the $2,500. I was like, he did
funny.
it on purpose. I don't know. So that's fun. All right, Troy. So on your background in real estate and investing, so you bought a bunch of rental properties. Let me ask you this. I love that Eden's here. I love it because I know what I go through with Krystal, or at least what I went through in the beginning. So when Troy came home and was like, honey, we got $100,000 in the bank, and I'm going to spend all of it on 3 rentals today. I don't know what the scenario looked like, but so you'll have to help us get there. Did you ever say, I don't know?
No, because we got together after he was this little REO rock god, okay? And he had a bunch of stuff. Well, I was a realtor.
Were you?
Yes,
Okay.
I still am.
Okay.
Yes, I knew that, yeah.
So I was a realtor seeing that name, same as you. And I'm like, this guy's got all the listings, and there was multiple offers on everything, and then somehow we ended up, we got introduced and we got put together, and then I was representing clients, and I'm like, it's Troy's listing that they want. And we were living together, and I'm like, all right, how do I go about trying to get my offer accepted?
Very easily.
Yeah. I was going there too, trying to let you take it.
I didn't want it to be so, obvious. So, no, but so he had been already investing and doing, and he just charges forward, and I just get behind, and I'm like, yeah, whatever you say. I mean,
there's sometimes she doesn't say yeah.
Well,
there's sometimes
mostly,
it's like, what are you doing? When are you going to stop? We actually had that conversation the other day a little bit. It was like, I didn't realize you were not going to stop. And I was like, you knew I wasn't going to stop. I'm like, you can stop anytime you want. But she's such a good supporting partner that she feels like she has to be in with me on everything to be a part. I mean, it's the truth, right?
Yes, it is. It is.
What do you mean? Yeah. What do you mean by that? I want to understand that. You said be in with me, like she wants to understand the business, or
no, she just wants to help,
be committed, supportive.
She feels like our best synergy and the way we connect the most is in business, and it's probably something I could work on being a little bit better of a husband and making her feel more special. But since I'm so entrenched in whatever I'm doing, she jumps right along with me. And that goes back to one of the first rental properties, one of our first dates on 2301 Exeter. Literally, we went out there and I'm like, they're doing this neighborhood stabilization program, and my house was the drug house, so I need to be up there to make sure that I'm involved. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, they got free dumpsters, and my house needs to be trashed out. Are you in?
No.
Yes, we did. So it was our date. It was our first date. We rolled up on.
It was not our first date. Okay, let's take that back. It was not our first date. This is like
you said first date though. That's why. Did you hear first date?
I did hear that.
So I went with it, but no,
it was very. We were still in our courting period.
It was very early on, and we together trashed out one of your the biggest hoarder. I'm talking dirty diapers, dog feces, broken mirrors, and then he was like, "Baby."
Dude, I'd have proposed to her right out of it.
I did it for him.
You called the jeweler immediately.
No, he was my last call. But I literally said, I called my buddies up and I said, I think I got one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I've never seen that before. She's in there loading it up, and high-fiving and stuff, putting on a good act, And I'm like, we're literally cleaning up diaper shit, and it
was a disaster. But so the thing is, what he's talking about is that he's this true entrepreneur, and so it's not just real estate. All of a sudden, hey, honey, we got a tow business, and we're gonna go do that. Excuse me. And so it's just and now it's like, hey, we're going to just conquer the YouTube, and we're going to become YouTubers. And so it's learning new things. And
did I tell you we're starting a podcast? No, I'm sorry.
There's a lot of just you got to get in it and get behind it. And then there's all this learning and all this unknown. And there's fear that comes with it. Mm-hmm. And then there's this guy's psyche, which is don't ever quit till success. Yeah. So, it's just, it gets laser focused, and, he's in his zone, and he's putting his keys in the freezer, and he's just thinking about work and that. And so I'm like, the best way that I can get with him and connect is just, let's get in there, let's do it. Let me try to figure out help, whatever, take something off his plate. And so that's kind of. And so I didn't know that we were going to keep starting new things over and over, but I think I did, probably.
You guys have a really special relationship. I can see that sitting here.
All right, for all you listeners out there that have a wish list of some home renovations or handyman projects that you need help with, now is the time to do it. You have to reach out to Nick. Nick is our contractor that we work with at Galindo Group, and he's very dependable. He's willing to help with a project that's small or large, and he'll move quickly. Don't waste any more time and give Nick a call. If you're in need of some home renovations and tired of waiting, you need to reach him at 480-235-8148. You can also check out his work on Facebook or Instagram at The Real Nick Marietta.
Something that I was asked is we often get asked actually is how do you balance it all? You know, how do you balance your home life and your work life? And my response to that is I don't.
I was going to say the exact same thing. You don't.
My kids come to the office. My wife's here with me. There's no balance. It's
right.
blend. You know, we're in this together. We're all in this together. Mm-hmm. And so this is our life. Mm-hmm. There's no work life and then home life. This is our life, what you're witnessing.
Right.
We both have talked about this before, about like our father, like, you know, you didn't have a father to grow up with. My parents got divorced at a very young age. I don't want to, like, you know, say that he wasn't there, but he wasn't there as much as I needed him to be there. Sure. And so for me, like, spending the time with the family, driving through like 25 properties in Kansas City, looking at bums and stuff like that. That is real life Absolutely. Experience that I feel like my kids can never get anywhere else. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's going to make them to the people that I want them to be, hopefully, like hardworking, respectable children, just like, and then kind of on that end, she's picking up all the other pieces that are like probably more important than that.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, making them good human beings, getting them to read. And my wife is highly OCD, highly OCD. It's like, if I said, like, we should start this YouTube channel, she's coming over with a notepad right away, like, all right, what was, I'm like, what, not today. You know? That's how she is. She's like, let me go grab my pad.
I'll be right back. No, I think that is so, because there's obviously times when, and I'm sure you experience them too, where like, am I working too much? Maybe I should, or that guilt just kind of sinks in. I don't let it stay, but the thought has entered my mind. But then I remind myself, what do I want my kids to do when they're older? Mm-hmm. I want them to be contributing members to society, however that looks, but that's going to require work. So what they're witnessing every day through me is what they're going to become. So while I may feel guilty, maybe this is a sacrifice that I need to endure and to ensure that I'm setting the example that I want them to become. And then, like you just said, that's where Krystal comes in with all the other stuff to make sure that they're a holdout human being, you know. Mm-hmm. So I think the dynamics that you just described are very similar to ours, and I think are incredibly valuable.
I think the only thing I will be guilty of is not paying her enough. Like, you know, I'm sometimes self-absorbed. I don't know if that's the best way to say it. I mean, that's your words. No, I mean it's okay. We go through this. You know, I always say, like, there's no relationship that you got to just, like, those people are like, oh my gosh, my wife is so amazing, and we never fight or we never have any arguments. That doesn't exist.
No.
Okay,
no.
Unless they're both like, you
delusional.
know, living closet homosexual lives or something like that.
Yeah, they're not all there.
Those are the ones that end up on those shows that we're talking about that we watch.
Right. All that pent up, that anger and resentment, it comes out with a shot. Honey, elaborate on that for a moment, because I think that what he just said was so spot on. I thought it was fun. I want to hear from you.
No, I think it's true. I think when you're here, like, us working together isn't really like us hanging out all day. It's you working. And then, like, so, but me working with you, I kind of have an idea of what's going on. But when you come home at 7 o'clock, you're fried, but you push it to spend time with the kids to make sure there's time for the kids. And then when I'm putting the kids to bed, I'm like, okay, after that, it's my time. And I go downstairs and you're asleep every night. So, but that's okay.
I'll own it like Troy did. Yeah.
Thank you for making me look okay.
I got you, homie.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I always tell her, you don't got it that bad.
No.
It's the same. It's the same. He's awake though, but he's like.
You know, let's talk about this for a second. I think it's for a little perspective, because then you got the guys that are saying, well, I want to stay focused on, I want to be the family dad. So there's a give and take on both sides. So let's say you're the family dad. You probably, because where your focus goes, grows. So, you know, if that's your focus, you're probably neglecting another aspect of your life, which is likely your job or your work or your ability to produce income. In sacrificing your ability to produce income, you're arguably sacrificing your quality of life. The experiences that we can provide our wives, our children, are far superior, depending on the person and the lens that they're watching it through, than the person that can't, because they don't have the resources that we do. So anytime that I feel any of those feelings, I just have to remind myself, my kids get to experience fun hotels. They get to experience fun vacations. They get to experience riding a dirt bike at a young age. They get to learn how to swim young because they have a pool in the backyard. None of that would be a reality if I wasn't the one sacrificing. We could live in one of our rentals and be done, and they'd have one bike, one set of rollerblades, and a skateboard. Yeah. And I'd be the dad of the year.
Here's the thing, though. This is what I'm going to say. So even though you come home late, it's like, okay, we sit down, we have dinner together, and you play with them for like 30 minutes. Undivided quality time is better than you being home from 5 to 9 working and trying to spend time with them.
Yeah. How do you show your boy love? I'm curious.
Lately, I've noticed with my kids is, sports is kind of like my thing right now with them, and so I've been playing like NBA 2K, which is something like I'm not interested in doing, but because he is so interested in doing it, and it's our time to spend time together, it's not about what I'm interested in. Yeah. And so like I'll spend a lot of time with them out in the basketball, that sort of things. I kind of am a very militaristic type of father. Like, you got to go do 1,000 crossovers on Dribble Up before you go to bed, and then let's have fun, and then we can have ice cream. Right. So we do a lot of like fun family meals. We like to go out to Shabu Shabu Swish, and eat as a family. We like to do. I tell her this all the time. I'm like, it's only 4 more months of me working like this, and then we're going on vacation.
It's never that long in between, but like really, sometimes it'll be just, all right, we got to get through like the next 60 days. I'm going to bust my ass, and then But what you're saying is, I wouldn't trade it, and I bet Krystal wouldn't either. No. I wouldn't trade anything because above and beyond anything material and the lifestyle and the things that we're afforded, which are amazing, this is what feeds your soul, right? Yeah. And so you're like the lion, the beast within needs to be fed by deals and negotiating and accomplishing and learning.
The hustle,
The hustle, correct. So
100%.
You can't hold that down. It's going to come out sideways some other way.
Yeah, it'll manifest in another way. You're totally right.
I'll tell you one thing, actually, to kind of side note to that. So the towing thing, right? We talk about, like, real estate's both our passions, I think. And so I got into a towing business, which wasn't my passion, but I saw the money that could be made there. And God, I just lost my train of thought. Hold on.
If it comes back, grab it. If it doesn't, I actually want to play on that for a moment.
Okay, go for it.
So I'm actually curious, because you're probably one of the few that have said that I can ask this to, because most of my friends are all in real estate. I'm in real estate because I think I like real estate, but it's also all that I know. I'm in real estate because I like the money that I can make in real estate. But I would love to own a tow company if I could make a ton of money. But if I did and I wasn't passionate about it, even if I am making a ton of money, do you think I'd be miserable?
Yeah.
Did I ask that right?
Yeah, I actually want to go back to my point, and I'll answer that question now, too. So the state of Nevada tried to shut me down. They're currently still trying because I made some enemies, whatever, from other competitors. It was honestly a bunch like when you got a bunch of guns pointed at you and you get hit with a bullet and you don't know where it came from and why, but you know that it doesn't make sense. Like, I didn't do anything that wrong. Why are they coming on me so heavy? So my wife here is in the middle of this thing with me, and she's, I would say, scared.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. So she's scared, and she's like, and these guys are investigators with the NTA, Nevada Transportation Authority, and they're telling me you might want to hire a criminal attorney. I'm like, well, I didn't do nothing wrong.
Holy shit.
This was
They're really trying to fuck with you
was
mentally
an administrative hearing, and it snowballed into like, would we say like the Microsoft
trial?
It
was like the Microsoft trials in there.
Just, crazy.
My whole point in that is my heart was out of that business at that point in time. At that point in time that that I realized that the fix is in, like it might be another tow operator who's got something, or the state of Nevada just doesn't like to see me grow. Whatever it is, my heart was out of that business, but my will to fight was I told her that. She's like, quit. I said, I will never stop fighting ever. Like, never. And I said, you're going to have to take the breath out of me. And I truly mean that. Like, I mean that in, like, on the street. I mean that, like, in the courtroom, whatever it is. Like, that's just, I have to be that way. Otherwise, I don't feel like I'm fulfilling, like, it's just my personality, I guess.
That's incredible. That actually gave me chills hearing you say that. You could tell that was a genuine, passionate statement.
Yeah.
And again, that's those are the nuggets I want people to take away from. Is how does Troy Kearns think? It's either accomplish or die. And maybe not literally, obviously, but I
think it sounds like that.
No, but like fight until whatever you feel is right has been righted. But just no quit. I'd actually summarize that with probably no quit. There's no quit in you. There's no quit until Troy chooses to quit, if he chooses to quit.
There's quit in me. I have a lot of things in my, like, I think one thing I'm consistently trying to work on is be, like, more responsible with my diet and going to the gym more regularly. So there's quit in, like, I have weaknesses there. But when it comes to business, yeah, I'm going to, like, I'll put myself in a very uncomfortable situation or a very awkward situation because I just don't want to quit. I don't have the ability to quit unless, even when that was a scary moment. Like, my wife's telling me, get out.
Because they gave us the opportunity to give our license back, which is the most valuable part of the towing company. Because that's how you can wipe out the liens, and that's what you need to operate. And I'm like, just get it to them. And he's like, we're not doing it. That's our only leverage. That's the only thing we have as leverage.
Because when did they stop if you give it back?
Well, I said, okay, so let's say I do that. Let's say I give you what you want. Put it in writing that you're going to do.
Leave me alone.
You're going to leave me alone. They go, well, we can't do that, but we're promised. I said, yeah, right. I said, babe, we're not doing it. We're fighting this thing. And, the bottom line is what I learned from there. So the takeaway from the positive was I learned there that I didn't have a phone call. Like, I'm taking all this heat from where I don't know. I have, and it's the state. That's a scary thing, right?
Of course.
And they really are nice to realtors compared to other businesses out there. So I'm going, what is the takeaway here? And I said, the takeaway is politics. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And I didn't know the right people. And so since then, I've started to know the right people.
There's so many times that I sit in front of my team and I'm like, nobody rolled out the blueprint for me and said, if you walk down that road, you'll make money.
Yeah, no.
And be careful of the pond and be careful of the tiger and be careful of the tree that's about to fall over. I had to walk down that road, fall in the pond, get back out, write a check, could keep walking down that road, fight the tiger, come back, heal, write a check. And what you just said there is this is you on your new journey with nobody giving you the blueprint and saying, do this, Troy. No, you're having to go down, learn it, figure it out, write the check, and keep going.
The best mistakes are learned with a check.
Absolutely.
Right? When you got to stroke a check for something, you're not going to forget that or make that mistake again.
My mom, I remember when I was young, I called her. She's been my rock as far as getting me to become an adult, a stable adult. And I remember asking her something. I don't remember what it was. She goes, you ever heard the saying, you pay for your mistakes? I was like, shit, it fucking actually meant something. You actually pay for them.
I never really realized that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what's the old Napoleon Hill quote of, for every failure, there's an equal seed of betterness or whatever. I'm totally mixing it up. But basically, the whole thing is, like, you learn more from your failures than you do your successes. Yeah. And so embracing failures versus being scared of them is what I've done to kind of, like, even with the NTA thing.
That's one of your great attributes is any major issues, mistakes, wronggoings. He's looking to just make that a lesson and take the takeaway, make it a positive. He has a really good mindset.
You have to. To take on the level of stress that we endure on a daily basis, and then keep enough bandwidth to focus on the growth component, and then to be able to pull that off. I think we're a breed. I actually often reference myself as that. We're a breed. We were born this way. Like we were born with a different set of ability.
I'm going to disagree.
I'd love to hear it.
Well, I've just been thinking about this lately, the whole nature versus nurture.
Okay.
there's a lot of things, and we have disagreements with our kids all the time about this, but, you know, people are told a lot, your kids, you can't do this.
Sure.
You don't climb on that. Don't get up there. So, and then there's a lot of the stuff that you see as a kid. Like your parents, like for me, I lived in a rental, right? And we didn't have any money. And I saw other people who did. And so I think that sometimes you're born with it. I think there's something to be said about that. Like there's, you know, obviously like, you know, guys like Bill Gates, you know, just inherent geniuses. But I believe a lot of it is how you're nurtured and how you grow up, and like the fact of like maybe the fact that you had something to prove, a chip on your shoulder a little
100%.
bit. Like, so like I've got a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah, adversity.
Yeah, like a chip on my shoulder, and I don't think it's gonna go away no matter what.
I may actually reprogram how I respond to that now, because as you were describing each of those things, my mom was the lady that, you know, we were like 7 and 10, and she'd sign up to jump out of an airplane. And we're like, Mom, you're like all we got, you know, and, you know, are you sure you're cool with that? You know, we're on vacation. If something goes wrong, we're not even at home.
Yeah.
You know, but I watched her conquer a lot and take on a lot. And then I think also, as you said, nurture, the nurture part versus nature is, I think I did have to endure a lot of pain growing up. You know, arguably I was an only child with my mom working all the time, because my sister's 3 years older. And then as you got older, she was out doing, and I was still at home. And that programmed me or seasoned me for the events that I go through today. And then that chip on the shoulder, I wouldn't change a thing about my life.
Right.
That's the most valuable chip that I've got.
The best thing you could tell to me is I can't do it. Tell me I can't do something, and you're guaranteed it's going to be done.
Absolutely.
You know?
I perform best under pressure. If I'm not under pressure, I'm like mush. And the second that you put pressure on me, I'm an animal.
Yeah.
It just turns on.
Yeah, same thing at home. You better clean this up. You know? Okay, so going back there real quick. So you mentioned about the banana earlier.
I was just going to say, should she say, I bet you can't throw that banana away every morning. I bet you every morning you won't remember. You can't do it.
That's the mom tactics in you.
Yeah, I just feel, because you're totally OCD, but she says like where I leave like a trail wherever I'm at.
I don't think I leave a trail. Do I?
Yeah, you
I don't know. You'd have to ask her, get her perspective.
You leave a trail, but I mean, you are OCD. You're crazy OCD.
Yeah.
But like when you're in the morning, like I can see where you were at. Yeah.
That's such bullshit.
When
No
you make
way.
when you make your protein shakes, are you kidding?
Okay, so she knew I was at the protein shake station.
We're gonna start taking
The old
pictures.
trump card.
You guys are gonna see a slideshow video I make really soon and post it of Josh's trails in the morning.
All right, guys, let me make sure I give myself a really quick plug here. I just want to take a moment and make sure I'm crystal clear on what Galindo Group Real Estate offers to the Las Vegas public. We have a company called Galindo Buys Houses that buys homes as is, all cash, and can close in as little as 7 days with no appraisals, no commissions, and we pay all of the fees associated with the closing. So the number we give you is the number you should walk away with from the closing table. You pick your close date, and if you need to, you can stay up to 3 weeks after closing, giving you a home and the much-needed cash to make future decisions. Galindo Buys House is a locally owned company that takes the profits generated here in town and reinvests them locally. We're not that big hedge fund that takes the profits generated here and sends them off to New York and other big cities. I employ people here locally and invest here locally. If you or anyone you know is behind on payments, repairs, or inherited a tenant disaster, don't hesitate to give me a call. We will get you an offer in 5 minutes or less and close in 7 days or less. So please take this number down. It's easy, 820-CASH. Again, it's 702-820-CASH. Talk to you soon.
All right, when you're in an accident or dealing with major injury, you want to make sure you have someone on your side that knows what they are doing. You don't want to end up with a lawyer that pawns you off to someone else in their firm. The partners at Battle-Born Injury Lawyers will work with you directly to make sure you have a fair case. Take a minute, stop what you're doing, and save their number. It's 702-570-9000. That's 702-570-9000.
All right, let's do this. Maybe I was a little selfish there. I genuinely enjoyed every minute we've invested in each other here. But like that's just fun for me.
Yeah.
But let's get in a little bit of numbers business. Let's see if we can drop some bombs on the people listening and see if, I don't know. So let's talk about our rental portfolios. You use leverage and have been extremely successful using it. Am I accurate in saying that?
So
Let's talk about your first batch, because you got to remember you're 5 years ahead of me. When you had 50 rentals, I was proud of closing 5 transactions.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
So where I end up will be with time and experience. So, but your first round, did you buy all those cash?
Yes.
Okay. And what was that about?
That was like, so I went and actually bought 2 houses in Las Vegas when I lived in Seattle. I was making good money at the radio station. I was their number 1 sales rep, so I made like $215. And I'm trying to get into real estate. I don't know what I'm doing, and I bought and my buddy's like, my cousin's living down in Vegas. He's like, dude, these houses are going up 30% a year. And he's like, I don't know about anything. Like, I'm like, oh, cool, let's buy some of those, So I bought 2 of those.
What year was that?
2005 or 2006.
Oof, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, failure.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, the failure is those. So, I'm not making great money. Like, I made the 215 and then I moved it down to Las Vegas with no income. So, I've got these assets that are bleeding me about $2,500 a month.
Oof.
And I'm driving around, always filling my brain with stuff, and I'm listening to Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he goes, why would you ever buy assets that take money out of your pocket every month? How many of those can you afford to buy versus the ones that, put money in your pocket? And so I really looked at things, and I had been trying to solve this complicated problem, like, what do I do here? Do I short sale these? I'm making good money, which I wasn't at the point in time. I moved back up to Seattle for 8 months and took a job. So just to survive, right, and to make these, to continue to what's the word I'm looking for?
Subsidize?
Yes, subsidize these people's rent.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm literally living for these guys to be able to pay me less money than I'm making on the mortgage.
Right.
So when he says that, it finally dawned on me, okay, I need to buy houses that produce income versus ones that I'm speculating that are going to appreciate, because and then I get my first REO assignment and it's in the neighborhood of the house I bought for $310,000.
And how much is it?
It's $267, and we're just in the beginning.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And then I get another one in there, and it's like $120.
Oh my gosh.
And I know you remember these days.
Oh yeah.
And so I started making a sizable amount of money because of the volume that I was selling.
Sure.
And so I said, and I kept torturing myself was, do I short sell it? If I short sell, I got to commit fraud. Basically, I have to figure out. And at that point in time, everybody's short selling.
I short sold 2 homes.
Yeah, everybody's short selling, and I'm like, so I'm not going to short sell. And then I've got also, I'm trying to figure out, okay, what else do I do? I can't short sell. Do I let them go? Well, if I let them go, there goes my credit, right? If I short sell them, I maybe have to put stuff in there that could come back on me down the road. And then if I'm thinking about if I ever do want to borrow money, I have to explain this. So I'm starting to make money. The first property, we just did a video on this, 1721 West Cartier. There's 3 houses. They're all on the corner of the streets. It's in the hood. It's on MLK and Lake Mead, right in that area, okay? And it's $19,000, and I've decided that I'm going to buy my first rental property and start renting it out. And there's 3 that I could afford at that point in time on the same block. But, literally, there's an apartment building, a whole block long down there, that's got people hanging out the windows, and it's just like a war zone. You remember this time? I mean, it was rough.
I get it. Yeah.
And so I bought the one property, and
$20,000
for $19,000. Howard Dew was the listing agent, and I think I beat him down for $1,000 or something like that. I'm a little bit more aggressive now. I probably could have got it for half price.
There was nothing left to beat up.
Yeah.
I think you did all right.
So we put a renter in there. They were in there for 11 years.
Paying what?
$725 a month. We raised the rent one time to $750.
Good for you.
Had him in there 11 years. Sold the property for $150,000. 10 years later. So I did that so you asked me the question, how did I start building my rental portfolio? So I did that. That made sense. So I bought another one. That made sense. I got to even Steven, where now I'm flatlining, right? I'm basically
expenses versus income, you're saying?
Yeah, expenses versus income. I'm losing all the money on these subsidized rentals that I bought in speculation that are now worth, a third of what I paid for them. And then I basically am continuing to buy assets for cash. And then I just ended up becoming good buddies with a guy named Jared Jones, who's a big REO agent, and we started competing, And so we were buying each other's properties and competing, and I just pressed the gas, And I've had a good guy at that point in time, a guy named William, what was his last name? My rehab guy?
Wooden.
William Wooden, who I literally blazed through about 50 properties with just one guy knocking stuff out, which that doesn't happen. You're always burning through contractors.
Yeah.
And so I had a really good stretch with him, and then honestly, I never bought another property, single family, to hold as a rental. Might be one or two more, but since 2011 in Vegas, because we were not at 80% capacity, we were so I told my property manager at the time.
I don't understand. You mean occupancy?
Correct. So I felt like, hey, we're not at above 80%. Until you get me above 80%, I'm not buying any more here. And that's when I started looking at other markets.
Interesting. Okay, but still, give me an education on the cash part. Was that because you were making just so much money?
Yes.
And that's actually been one of my arguments is people outside of like getting big loans where this doesn't make any sense. But if you're overly borrowing, it's probably because you have an income problem, not necessarily, unless you're getting into 60, 70, 80, 100 homes. That's a whole total another conversation.
Yeah.
But that's what my argument is. You have an income problem.
Right.
You should be able to pluck a few of these cash or put down a substantial amount. So you were crushing it, and then you were just parking your money into these rentals, which obviously was a great idea.
Parking is my favorite word to do. Just park your money in that property, let it continue to grow, and I would always look at each property as like a $500 bill.
Okay.
So if I could add up $500 bills, I may have told you this before.
No, I use the same thing.
He says the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
mine are $1,000 bills.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a little bit more conservative, maybe.
Well, I mean, you were at different rent rates at your time, so.
Yeah.
No, I'm still using the number.
Okay.
So I would say that's a $500 bill. Let me stack $500 bills. How many $500 bills do I need to stack to get to where I have financial freedom?
Sure.
Right. And then once I got the financial freedom, I'm like, well, let's just keep rolling because I got a lot more things I want.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm actually coming up with this whole Troy Kearns wealth building formula, which is like start wholesaling. Once you figure that out, which teaches you how to deal find, as you know.
Yeah.
And then once you know how to deal find, start flipping to build capital to buy properties for cash in markets so you don't have a bunch of leverage, and then buy the commercial properties for the tax advantages with leverage so you can depreciate them and then take that to bring your tax bill down.
So you and I are really very similar then.
Yes.
I didn't realize that. I thought, that's exactly. If I could start over, I would have started out as a wholesaler because that allows you to find the best deals.
Correct.
And then learn to be a flipper. Now you can capitalize on your best deals, build your bankroll, invest in cash flowing assets, and then there's your retirement. And I'm actually buying this building. I'm working on your next
We talked
step.
about that at lunch last time, and I was like, yeah, do it. It's the best thing you can do, because with the commercial properties, you're going to get the tax benefit big time, so you can pretty much avoid your any federal income taxes, right? So if you strip that depreciation down and take it as a loss, now you've got that, plus you have a cash flowing asset, right? And so now you've got leverage, and then you just go and flip more houses to buy more. And I use them I don't know if you're into World War II, anything like that.
I watched the shit out of those Netflix documentaries.
Okay, so World War
I'll try.
Yeah, so World War II in color is like one of my favorite things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Riveting.
Riveting. Did you hear
So I feel it's like the Magnot line of that. The small houses are my defenses from I guess debt and scarcity, lining these houses up to protect me from anything going wrong.
Yeah. That's actually where. So my goal was to get to 30 rentals because obviously I think 20 was paying our bills, and then I was making 20. I'm like, well, that's not considered retirement. You're just spending all you bring in. You still got to use your same tools, Josh, that got you here. So I was like, 30 is my number where I could say I'm financially free because then at least I'm still saving a little bit per month, and then I can absorb a market adjustment and all that. But so I'm just now right there. That's why I said I think we're 3, 4, 5 years apart. So now I've built my protection, my layer of protection. The Galindo family is safe. And what that's allowed me to do is to take my income, instead of stripping my income from all of the businesses to buy more rentals to get me to that safe level. Now I can take that income and turn it around and reinvest it in the businesses and hopefully have these businesses grow, and then everything exponentially grows.
Yes.
But I wasn't willing to take any of the money, and all of the business growth was organic sweat equity, not cash, because I was like, I'm saying focused on my, what'd you call the line?
Magnat line.
The Magnat line.
I think that's correct.
Yeah,
We'll have to watch it again tonight.
No, that's good. So, all right. So, Troy, so how many homes do you have now?
So, I've got about 70 single families in Mississippi, about 80-ish in Kansas City, St. Joe, and then several apartment buildings. So, I would say the unit count's around 300.
Holy shit. I didn't know it was 300. Wow.
Babe.
Let's take a
what
moment of
he's
silence
done,
here.
Yeah.
what he does, like when you say you keep focusing on building, is always continually buying.
Yeah.
Everything
Always
else
be
that
buying.
he's doing, always be buying.
Yeah.
Like never stop.
Yep.
And so like even when we were in Kansas City for the last 4 months, and
Good job,
how many did you get? Like 70 or something in a short period of time. And so we had all of these stacked up that needed renovation, and they're just stacking up. I'm like, all right, we'll just stop for a little while so we can
I
catch
see
up
what
with
you're
the.
saying.
And he's like, no, just
Because
keep
if the
going.
opportunity's there, you pluck it,
Just
and
keep going.
you'll process that meat when you get to it. But but you're going to take it while you can.
Yeah, I've got a lot. I'm probably disorganized on paper, but I'm highly organized in my head. Like I kind of know where I'm going. Like so, right now, like I took a hit on my credit because like Bank of America stopped accepting my automatic payments, and they gave me a late and never let me know it. So I'm fighting that.
Oh, that just happened to me.
And Bank of America was
It
brutal.
was Bank of America.
Oh, they're the worst. I got it off, and I have a contact for you. I'll give you.
I got it off too.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Girl.
Yeah. So literally, we're building this house in Kansas City right now, and I can't get a loan on it. And I'm like, and my attitude is, I'll just figure it out. I'll just figure it out. I'll steal money from this thing to get it for not steal. Okay, I don't steal.
No, I use
From
the same
yourself,
term.
from
I'll
yourself.
I'll steal for myself over here. I'll figure it out. I'll make it work. And I'm really better, like you said, working under pressure. When that bank account is low, I know that I'm going to work harder. And right now it's low.
Troy, I think there's something to that. That's why I think that's why I love buying and consistently deploying capital. It keeps me motivated. The least motivated I'd ever been was at the beginning at the beginning of this year, and I felt it. I knew that, but I hadn't experienced it and wasn't able to define it and say this is what's happening.
Articulate it, yeah.
But I had bankrolled so heavy because I was like, if anything happens during the pandemic, I don't want to be insulated. And boy, I was comfy, and it wasn't good. I was like, fuck that. And
You both did that. You did that too.
Yeah,
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it because it was peace of mind, but I knew I wasn't growing.
Well, yeah, I got the money up big, and then I just bled it out and started buying more houses
I
again.
asked Krystal, I go, what the hell happened? She goes, well, honey, you bought like 6 homes and
Yeah,
a truck
I'm like-
and all these different things. And
I'm like, what do you mean what happened? Look at this.
yeah.
So
No, I like that.
So one thing that I always do, and I think it's important to touch on, is that every decision I make on something that I want, like I bought a Raptor at 40. I've never bought a new car, and everybody's like, oh, you bought a Raptor, you know, Mr. Cool. No, I've never bought a brand new car. So I'm 40 years old. This is like my little present to myself. But every single thing I buy, whether it's a ring for my wife, I'm going to justify that expense by going and then doubling down by buying as many houses that will pay for that.
Do you want to tell him what I do?
Babe, he already said what you do.
Troy, I don't buy anything that has a reoccurring payment on it unless I have a rental that can also pay for it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's how you
don't-
never get in trouble.
Yeah, don't finance the car, don't finance the house.
Absolutely.
Right.
Man, I have a lot of respect for you, Troy. I mean that. You're cool across the board.
Yeah.
Well, there's a few people who would argue that.
Well, fuck them. So, Troy, let's wrap this up with what are you working on today? What are your plans for the next 5 years? Do you plan to own 500 homes? Are you going to be a YouTuber star? Give us the gist, and then tell everybody how they can get a hold of you so that you get the credit you deserve.
All right, so first of all, the YouTube thing was a big battle. I didn't know if I wanted to do it because, as you know, a lot of people have to put themselves out there, and I'm very private, okay? So the YouTube thing I'm working on, it's not because I want to be a YouTube star. It's because, actually, Ryan Pineda, who I was hating on at first about it, and I told him I was, on his deal, and I was like, yeah, I was hating on you. I think you were too braggadocious. But really, I have spent so much time helping other people invest, like friends of mine, that I feel like, I can do that and sell that and make money. And it's what I enjoy doing is teaching people how to invest in real estate, because I'm an average guy. You know what I mean? I came from no means. My mom was basically a single mom a lot of the time. And so I'm working on that to build the YouTube channel up, to then build the education up. And then I'm still trying to get to about 1,000 doors in Kansas City. And I want to start a hedge fund, or I want to take a company public, which would be my own company. And what I see on that is like, okay, let's take all of my properties. What's the best thing? To go get your cash back. So I start a REIT, right? A REIT or a hedge fund. I go and pledge my assets as the first ones in there, and I have a lot of them right now, so it's going to be valuable. And then the YouTube platform allows people to understand that I actually am a credible resource because they've been watching me for now however long it is, and they go, okay, this guy's got experts on, he's got politicians on, he's got people on, he's the real deal. So we're going to go spend that money with him, and we're going to go invest. So that's the plan, because my whole goal, originally, was I want to be on the Forbes 400 list. I don't know if that's going to ever happen. So I said, I definitely believe we cannot have to fly commercial again. And so that's the goal right now.
That's fantastic.
To not fly to commercial,
So let me ask you this. So then the one, you are a humble guy, and a humble man isn't, but you're not materialistic. But the one materialistic item that you are committed to having, are you saying a private plane?
It's not about having it, it's the access to it. So I don't actually need to own it.
The freedom that comes with it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, okay. I don't even want to own it. I just want to be able to I don't want to have to think about it being a cost. Like, it's like going and putting gas in my truck. Like, I don't think about it. It's like, oh my God, gas is up $0.25, whatever. It is what it is.
But he still does get upset about gas.
Yeah, I do.
So still will.
Yeah, so I always put unleaded just so people know, because you're getting ripped off if you put anything else but unleaded, okay? Don't believe the hype. And so that's one thing for sure, that I believe in. But, where to get a hold of me? It's the Troy Kearns channel on all the platforms. We don't have a podcast. We have a YouTube channel, which we're focusing on. That's where probably the most content is. We have an Instagram, which is like garbage compared to yours and everybody else's. But, I mean, you've done outstanding there. I'm going to play props off. Your videos are, amazing. Really, your creative side I see come out a lot, and I feel like I have a lot of that in me, but you're way better at articulating it in videos and stuff. So that's something I'm learning right now. But it's just like anything. I'm fully immersed. She'll tell you, she's like, I didn't realize it was going to be that bad. And I was like, oh, it's going to get worse.
That's good. That's fantastic.
So that's basically it. We're gonna build our house in Kansas City. And
is this to live in, or is this?
Yeah, we're gonna spend the year out there. We're gonna just try something new. We built it. The reason I think you and I talked about this, because you bought a house in the Ridges.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I want to build my house. It's $1 million for a lot. It's a half acre, and it's BS. I don't want to pay that. I feel like I'm getting ripped off. So we bought 11 acres.
I thought you were telling me about your place in Kansas City. I'm like, shit, that's an expensive lot. In comparison, is what you're getting.
So in Kansas City, I'm getting 11 acres for $190,000. I'm building this massive house that's going to be awesome, that we can have a farm on, that we can ride my razor around, that I can just be like the kid, because I'm a kid. I'm just a big kid that wants to have fun. I mean, my camera guy can tell you about that. He's been on a few drives with me on horses and stuff like that. I enjoy that stuff. So I feel like we'll go out there for a year, give our kids a little bit more diversity in terms of going to another place, learning how to live in another area. And then I'll be back and forth from here. Vegas is our home, and I want to build a house in Vegas too, over in the Henderson area. And then I want to build one in Florida, and I want to kind of do the triangle, boom, boom, boom.
There you go. Yeah.
So,
do you have horses?
Not yet.
Okay. I love horses.
I do too.
I love horses. Like I find a lot of peace when I'm riding a horse, and I know how to ride.
I know how to listen. We should go ride.
This is the next competition.
Listen, we could get. Listen,
Oh my goodness.
Set it up, and we'll get the camera guy over there.
for sure. Do you remember the man from Snowy River?
No.
Okay, you got to watch this. It's a horse scene where like they all go up there and they're watching this guy and they all back up. They're chasing these wild horses and they can't tame these wild horses. They're trying to chase them down. So the horses jump down this cliff and all the guys back up and they're all like, okay. And then here comes Jim. Jim in this case is Troy and Josh. Okay, so Jim literally jumps over the cliff and it goes like that and that. I love riding horses. Yeah. My wife, not a big fan.
Yeah, I don't think I could see Krystal manning a horse by herself.
I've ridden a horse before, but we went to Mexico.
We did it in Mexico, too.
He rode it with Andre on the beach, not me.
Yeah, this horse bucked me off and I landed on my feet.
Oh,
dude, I don't know how to do it. I can't.
You got me there.
All I remember is this horse lost its shit, and then I was in the air, and then I was on the ground. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I had the biggest bruise ever on the inside of my thigh, though.
No,
it was
just
from
your leg was a bruise.
Yeah.
When you're in what is it, symbiotic relationship with like some sort of a horse, when you're galloping in stride with them, it's just like the best feeling. You can feel like you can do anything. Yeah. You know, it's just like you got the animal. I've ridden an elephant before too. That's really cool.
Was that fun?
Not as fast.
Yeah, we did that in Thailand. Yeah.
All right, Troy and Eden, you guys have a special relationship, so congratulations for that. It's not easy to do, and it's not common. So you guys should be proud of that.
You guys are a pleasure, amazing. We love watching you just raise your family and do the deal and blend it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
We're one and the same. Yeah. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad you guys were here.
Yeah, I almost feel like we could do another one.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
Okay.
Round two. No, we got to do the horses. I really do.
We should
set it up. Get a guy with an
out
arena.
of Bonnie Springs,
or something like that. Because I don't want to go. I don't like that trail shit. You sit on there and just sitting between a horse and I want an arena that's wide open with a horse that can run.
Okay, I'm down. Let's do it. Let's find the fastest horses and see who gets scared.
I was just saying, if you've ridden a fast horse, which it sounds like you have, it's scary.
Oh yeah.
See who gets scared first. That's so funny.
We'll wear helmets that one. Just
I think I'd have to wear a helmet.
Yeah.
And a neck brace. All right, man.
All right.
Good times, guys. Thank you
so much for having us. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. That's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for listening.
If you enjoyed the show, please rate, subscribe, and share our podcast. You can also connect with us on social media or at galindogrouprealestate.com.
Until next time, thanks again for listening.